Good morning, students. Today I will be taking up John Keats as a poet of beauty. If you recall, I had promised you the other day when I was doing Shelley as a poet of love that I would be discussing Keats as a poet of beauty. Well, my students, if you recall, I had started my lecture on Shelley is a poet of love with the idea that every romantic poet is in search of that thing or this thing. And as Wordsworth was in search of peace and Shelley was in search of love, in the same way, John Keats, another important and major romantic poet, he was in search of beauty. Now, for Keats, beauty is something which is there in nature, in human life, in Godhood itself. And as a poet of beauty, again, like Shelley as a poet of love, Keats also passed through three distinct stages. First is physical, second is perennial, and the third is philosophical. Uh, he started his career as a literary poet, as a poet, when his senses were satisfied by the physical aspect of beauty, the outward forms of beauty, whether in nature or in human body. The outward beauty of human body or nature, they were the points of fascination for him. For example, in one of his poems, earlier poems, initial poems, when he started his career, and I may tell you that he was a late developer as a poet. He started writing poetry somewhere at the age of 18 or 19, and within a span of just 6 or 7 years, he became so great a poet that it is said that had he been able to live for just 5 years more, certainly the world would have forgotten Shakespeare. So, meaning thereby that his growth, though he was a late starter, his growth as a poet, as a thinker, was very rapid and fast. So he started his career with the physical beauty, or that physical beauty which used to gratify and satisfy his senses, which appealed to his senses basically, and he became a sensuous poet. I may recall two lines, very famous lines, where he said, soft dimpled hands, parted hair, and creamy breasts are things on which dazzled senses rest. Now, just say, all physicality of a woman's body is so sensitively and so sensuously described in these two lines. This is the first and the initial stage where his sensuousness somewhere also comes quite often very close to sensuality. So that is the initial stage, the first stage. In the second stage, beauty for John Keats becomes a perennial thing, and he wishes and he starts seeing beauty as a perennial and universal entity or quality of life on this planet. When he wrote that poem, Ode to a Nightingale, and there he said, "Thou wast not born for death, immortal bird, though hungry generations can tread thee down." Now, the song of the bird, nightingale, that was beautiful for him, and that beauty was eternal, was perennial, was universal, and therefore that is the second stage. Even in the during the second stage, you would find Keats as a poet of Hellenism. Now, Hellenism amounts to uh, a point of parallelism between Keats as a poet of beauty and the Hellenic poets, ancient Greek poets who were lovers of beauty in the same way. So much so that Shelley called John Keats a Greek. He said that he was a Greek. So, meaning thereby that in his concept of love, in his love for beauty, Keats comes very close to the ancient Greek poets. Now, in the third and the final stage, Keats becomes a beauty mystic. Beauty mystic, it means that Keats tries to realize beauty not as a concrete thing but as an abstraction, where beauty becomes yet another aspect of truth, yet another aspect of Godhood. In Grecian, he said, "Beauty is truth, truth beauty, that is all ye know on this earth, and all ye need to know." So, there he comes very close to the Indian concept of Satyam Shivam Sundaram, where beauty, truth, and goodness, they become one, and they become the part and parcel of Godhood. So you can analyze Keats as a poet of beauty on these lines. It may help you in your examination in case you happen to get this question. Discuss Keats as a poet of beauty, so you can describe Keats's growth as a poet and in his concept of beauty on these three lines: physical, perennial, and philosophical. So thank you very much for today, and I wish you all the best for your exams. Whenever there is some problem, just shoot at me. I am there to help you. Thank you.